All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something that, let's face it, we have all felt: failure. You know that moment when a plan, a dream, a project, it just completely blows up in your face. It's a total gut punch. But here's the thought. What if that moment isn't really the end? What if it's actually the start of building a kind of confidence that's, well, stronger than anything you could have had before? Let's dig into that.
And let's be real, this image pretty much says it all, doesn't it? When you fail, it almost never feels like a learning opportunity. It feels like a final judgment. It feels like a giant stop sign on your career, your abilities, your whole future. It's just this heavy, isolating feeling that makes you question absolutely everything.
And hey, if that feeling sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. This quote really gets to the raw emotion of it. All those cliches about learning from your mistakes, they can sound so empty when you're in the thick of it. The experience is, to put it simply, crushing. And you know what? Acknowledging that is the very first step. So, to really get how we move past this, we're going to start with a story about the rules most of us are taught to live by. That simple, very attractive promise that success is just a straight line from hard work.
This idea, it serves a lot of us really well, for a time. It was the entire game plan for Dr. Nicole Byers, a psychologist whose whole life was built on this one formula. I work hard, I get the reward. So what happens when that simple math just stops working?
And I mean, Dr. Byers did everything right. She wasn't just a good student. She was the textbook perfect student, sacrificing summers, taking on extra work. You can see from this list, she ticked every single box on the how to succeed checklist. She was on what everyone, including her, believed was the one sure path to her goal.
And that brings us to the moment where that predictable path didn't just take a turn, it completely imploded. And this, right here, is where the real story and the real lesson truly begins.
Just try to imagine that. After 10 years of pure dedication, after being that person who did everything by the book, she becomes a statistic of one. The only student in her program's entire history who didn't secure a residency spot. And this wasn't some private setback she could just deal with on her own. No, it was a public, defining failure, and it felt completely and utterly catastrophic.
And what happened next? Well, her brain immediately did what our brains are wired to do in these moments. It went straight into a doubt spiral. This is that vortex of negative self-talk where a single event stops being just an event and it becomes proof of our absolute deepest fears about ourselves. And just look at how specific and how brutal that inner voice is. It's not just, oh, I messed up. It's, I'm not smart enough. I wasted a decade of my life. I'm never going to be good enough. The failure was being translated into a permanent sentence on who she was and what she was worth. But then, right in the middle of this crisis, something totally unexpected happened. A conversation that would flip everything on its head, not by ignoring the failure, but by completely reframing its entire purpose. Her supervisor actually said this to her while she was trying her best not to cry. I mean, can you imagine hearing that? It sounds kind of crazy, almost harsh, but it was the start of a huge shift in her perspective. It begged the question, how on earth could this disaster possibly be a good thing? And that single, shocking statement gets right to the heart of this incredible idea: failing forward. This is the mindset that truly successful people have. See, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a critical part of it. It's not a verdict on you, it's just data. Now, it might be expensive, painful data for sure, but it's data you can actually use. So the supervisor's main point was this: resilience isn't something you're born with. It's a skill, just like learning to ride a bike. And the only way to learn how to get back up is by actually falling down. This failure gave Dr. Byers the chance to learn a skill that would end up being way more valuable in the long run than some perfect track record. Okay, so that story gives us the right mindset. Now, let's get practical. Let's build on that with a real, repeatable framework that you can use to get through your own setbacks. This is your comeback plan. It all breaks down into these 4 key steps. It's a process designed to take you from that emotional chaos of failure to a place of control, learning, and, yep, renewed confidence. Let's walk through each one.
First things first, and honestly, this might be the toughest part, you can't skip the feelings. Our first instinct is to just be positive, but trying to force that just burns a ton of mental energy. You have to give yourself permission to feel awful. Acknowledge the disappointment, the anger, all of it. This isn't about wallowing, it's about processing. Self-compassion is what kicks off the recovery. So once you've let that emotional storm quiet down a little bit, it's time to reframe. Here's a fantastic exercise. Grab a piece of paper. On one side, like you see here under worst case scenarios, you just write down all the crazy, catastrophic stories your brain is screaming at you, just like Dr. Byers' list. Then on the other side, under lessons and opportunities, you make your brain find the balance. What did I actually learn? What doors might this open? The point isn't to pretend you're happy, it's to switch from disaster mode into analysis mode.
And that leads you right into step 3, make a plan. See, failure makes you feel powerless. Planning is how you grab the steering wheel and get back in the driver's seat. Don't worry about what went wrong or what's out of your hands. Just ask yourself, okay, what can I actually do right now? What's in my control? For Dr. Byers, that meant getting new experience and working on her writing skills.
And finally, this one is the absolute key to rebuilding your confidence. Take action. You don't think your way into confidence, you act your way into it. Start with small, super achievable wins. Any step forward, no matter how tiny, breaks that paralysis of self-doubt. It reminds your brain what winning feels like and starts to build momentum for the bigger stuff ahead.
So once you've gone through this process, something really amazing can happen. You don't just get back to where you were, you actually have the chance to become fundamentally stronger.
There's a word for this idea, anti-fragility. Think about it for a second. A glass cup is fragile. You shock it, it shatters. A rubber ball is resilient. You drop it, it bounces right back to its original shape. But some things are anti-fragile. They actually get stronger from shocks and failures. And that's exactly what failure can do for your confidence when you handle it the right way.
And this is such a crucial difference. Confidence that's never been tested, that's fragile. It's basically just wishful thinking. Real, solid, unshakable confidence isn't the belief that you'll never fail, it's the knowledge that you can handle it when you do. It's a confidence that's been earned in the fire of real-world setbacks.
Let this one really sink in for a minute. Failure isn't a sign that you're weak. Actually, it's often a sign of courage. It's proof that you're in the game, you're taking risks, and you're pushing yourself. You know, if you're not failing every now and then, are you really aiming high enough?
So I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. Just imagine for a moment that the fear of failure, that crushing feeling we started with, wasn't a roadblock for you anymore. If you knew deep down that you had the tools to get back up, to learn from it, and to come back even stronger, what would you dare to do then?